Are you looking for the best espresso machines? In this video we will look at some of the 5 best espresso machines on the market. Before we get started with our video, we have included links in the description, so make sure you check those out to see which one is in your budget range. Starting at number 1. Breville Infuser Espresso Machine. The Breville Infuser is easier to use and significantly less expensive than the higher-end machines on this list, and it produces great, consistent shots. While making espresso is, by nature, finicky, if you get your beans to the right grind size, weigh them properly, and use one of the included double-walled portafilter baskets built to pressurize the coffee, you should get a smooth brew just like I did. Technically, the included single-walled ones get even more nuanced with the taste they can produce, a plus for people who want to get really into the process, but the difference is not something I noticed as a non-aficionado. The infuser also allows you to program the 1-shot and 2-shot buttons. If you measure out your ideal brew once, you can set the timing so you have a uniform extraction each time. Here's a short but more in-depth explainer to better understand how to work this feature. And I love the magnetic slot that holds the tamp neatly in place. As an espresso making novice, I found the infuser user-friendly with super clear designations for everything. I used a fancy La Marzocco every so often at my old job and tested the industry-approved Rancilio Silvia, both below, but the infuser was far easier to handle than both machines on first go. Turns out, Breville is pro-approved, too. Their home machines are some of the best you can get in terms of user experience and customer service, says Ramage. And nearly every other expert I talked to seems to agree. While truly serious coffee people, like the experts themselves, might invest in the higher-end items on this list, the average person isn't likely to be so hyper-aware of espresso nuances. So, Breville it is, for my best overall pick. They're all-around well-performing espresso machines with a generally wide range of capabilities and a wide range of price points. That's why you'll see multiple models of theirs on this list. I went with this model for the best espresso maker overall because it was named specifically by Suarez, who calls it a great entry model. Both the Bambino and the Bambino Plus are cheaper, with the former retailing at $300 and the latter at $500, but this one is still on the lower end of the spectrum for the brand and therefore relatively accessible. At number 2. Wacaco Picopresso. The Picopresso is marketed as a portable model that is especially good for travel, but there's no reason it can't be employed at home. Its super compact size, much smaller than the Breville and the Nespresso, might even be essential for people with small kitchens who are still dedicated to having an espresso option. We actually crowdsourced this one in our work Slack channel. Suyog Modi, founder of Brooklyn's Driftaway Coffee, told me. Several people on the team strongly endorse it. I feel like it's sort of an industry secret. The Picopresso works with manual hand pressure, meaning that one essential part of the espresso making process is generated via the person brewing instead of the machine. According to the company, you just have to dial in the correct grind size and tamping, something you have to do with electric models anyway, and then perfect your pulling technique, a skill that seems well worth the learning curve for an espresso maker that costs not much more than $100 and still makes a stellar shot. At number 3. Nespresso Vertuo Plus Coffee and Espresso Maker by Delonghi. If you're interested in something even simpler that doesn't require weighing grounds or tamping, consider this single-serve pod-based machine. 2 coffee and espresso aficionados, textile designer Caroline Hurley and clothing designer Alex Crane keep one on their kitchen counter because it's just so easy, Hurley says. It's a completely different style than the Breville, but one that we're designating the best less expensive because it can't be beat in terms of price and simplicity. Instead of needing to learn how to pull a smooth shot, this one operates by placing an espresso pod into a slot. Both Hurley and Crane use the espresso ones, but you can also buy them in coffee form, and clicking a button. The maker heats and brews in a matter of seconds, automatically depositing the used pod in a container at the back that you can empty and recycle, with some specific guidelines. Hurley likes that you can buy a big variety of flavors that they'll send to you in a tester pack, like jelly beans but for coffee, she says, so you can determine your preferences. And honestly, they taste deep and flavorful, she says. I don't think grinding whole beans makes much of a difference. Crane says he appreciates that the maker brews with what he calls a gentle sound, unlike some others that sound so loud and sinister, as well as the fact that it only produces 1 cup at a time so he can watch his consumption. If there was a full French press, I would drink all of it, he says. If you're interested in a much less expensive and portable single-serve espresso maker, the $40 AeroPress comes recommended by the two coffee pros who praise it for its low acidity brew and durability. At number 4. The original Bialetti Moka Express. A Moka pot doesn't technically make espresso, but is still often described as a stovetop espresso maker, meaning it's a reliable way to make delicious espresso-like drinks at home without any fuss. Ken Nye, owner of 9th Street Espresso, explains that this is because the result is still concentrated and full-bodied. I've used the Bialetti many times and love it. It's a classic Italian model, though there are also many out there to choose from. No matter the brand, Moka pots take super finely ground beans, just like espresso machines, and generate a liquid prime for being mixed with milk. Marco Suarez, one of the owners of Methodical Coffee in Greenville, South Carolina, endorses them, too, saying, "I think they're really cool. I don't know if they can do the exact concentration of a machine, but they get pretty close if you're just trying to replicate a good cappuccino or latte at home." And one final endorsement, Isabella Rossellini makes 2 espressos a day with her Bialetti, an item she says she can't live without. At number 5. Rancilio Silvia Espresso Machine. The Rancilio Silvia espresso machine is markedly less expensive, $3,035 less expensive, to be exact, than even the Linea Micra. This is in large part due to the fact that it doesn't have a dual boiler, and that it doesn't deliver quite as sleek of a design with all those customizable parts. Indeed, it's more difficult to operate. People who opt for a Rancilio Silvia are generally obsessive about technique. There are tricks you can learn in separate parts you can buy to better control temperature, which the machine doesn't do automatically, discussed at length on forums like Reddit. In short, it's for the real coffee nerds. While the machine has 3 clear settings, one for hot water, one to pull shots, and one to activate the steam wand, in giving it my own best go, there was certainly a learning curve. I watched a few instructional videos like this one, and did a slightly deeper dive into temperature surfing, the method used to regulate degrees. At first, my tries yielded espresso that was too dark and bitter, but I finally got decent ones by applying the right amount of pressure to my tamping and getting the hang of temperature surfing. If that's who you are, it comes enthusiastically recommended by Wong, as well as Modi and James McCarthy, coffee educator, at Brooklyn's Driftaway Coffee. Rancilio used to make commercial machines, Modi says. They created this one to send to their distributors and give away at trade fairs. But it ended up so popular that they decided to release it to the consumer market. And though I wouldn't necessarily recommend this machine for total newbies like myself, unless you're committed to learning a ton, there are some immediately noticeable appealing features. It has a flat tray at the top to store mugs and glasses, and the bottom plate is easy to slide off and clean thoroughly. Modi also says that while all espresso makers generate noise, this one is on the quieter side. And perhaps most notable of all, it's shorter than any of the other electric machines on this list besides the best compact machine, key if you have low cabinets.